Hey everyone, welcome back to Major Arcana Month with me, the Mermaid Mystic. We continue our learning adventure today with the Hanged Man. So grab your note-taking materials because I'm diving right in. So firstly, what do we see? We see a figure on a Tau cross. They are hung by their foot. Their arms are behind their back, their legs are in some kind of like intentional position, and their head is glowing. What is going on? So firstly, there's a contrast between the name and the imagery, which is already an important part of the meaning of the hangman, because the name inspires fear. Like you're just like, oh my God, it's bad, right? You think of punishment, death. It doesn't really evoke very pleasant images or feelings. But then when you look at the image without the name, it's actually very peaceful. So this figure is not attempting to get out of their position. They're hung by the foot, they're upside down, so they're seeing the world through a very different lens. Their arms are behind their back, which suggests surrender, non-action. This leg posture looks intentional. Again, so there is this sense that the hangman knows exactly where they are. They are not attempting to get out of this situation, and they are surrendering and viewing the subject through a different lens. And those are probably the strongest elements of this card. When this card pulls up for you, it's really encouraging you to take a step back, to see things from a different perspective before you proceed with action. In fact, when this card appears, if we choose to plow ahead, things will often go sideways. This is encouragement, guidance to take that step back, to review it, and then to move forward, either when kind of you get the green light or when you feel it's time. It can suggest that if you were to try to move forward at this time, you might regret it. So it's just really important when this card shows up to take that pause and to see things from that different perspective. The glowing melon here suggests enlightenment. This lines up with the astrological correspondence with the hangman, which is Neptune. Neptune is this planet of imagination, dreaming, spiritual pursuits, but also illusions. So in this case, what we want to do is we really do want to take that step back. We want to see things from a different perspective because we need to see through illusions. And this is something that's going to come up in tarot over and over and over again. One of the gifts of tarot is to discover the illusions that have been misguiding us in our lives. So with that Neptunian presence, there is this spiritual presence as well. And this continues with the artwork of the Tau cross. So the Tau cross is associated with Saint Francis of Assisi, who is a Catholic saint associated with love, joy, and a love of nature and a respect for nature, being said to have seen God in all of nature, which is not necessarily something that you would associate with Christianity. St. Francis of Assisi also actively rejected the Crusades, really disagreed with them, and found the violence very unchristian. So we have this figure, very peaceful, very connected to nature, associated with this card. The St. Francis of Assisi prayer is about flipping things on its head, of returning to love. So the prayer goes, I won't recite the whole thing, but it's this: grant me to be an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. So we see that wherever there is, and I would apply this to the card, I found this very helpful. If there's a situation in your life and where you feel doubt, the ego might make you want to like push your way through it and figure it out. But then what you actually need is the opposite. The hangman has like the energy of opposite day. You might actually just need to have faith. You might need to trust. That also brings up the element of this card of sacrifice. Sometimes we have to sacrifice the ego's need to know or fix it now in order for the best outcome to occur. Returning to the prayer, this prayer also says things like, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to love as to be loved as to love. So there's a shifting of, instead of focusing on what I can get, rather who I can be and what I can give. Lastly, the prayer wraps up with saying, for it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, it is in giving that we receive, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. I think I got a couple of those lines mixed up, but that's the gist. So once again, it's this flipping. So by pardoning someone, you receive the pardon. By giving it, you are receiving, right? And by dying, you're born to eternal life. So we have this idea of taking these things, all the things we think we want or how to get them, and we're flipping it on its head. We're shifting from getting to giving. So in the hangman, there is this element of flipping what you think you need, of flipping what you think you must do. And that requires this sort of meditative state in which we're seeing things from a different perspective. The glowing melon may also suggest that you're seeing things through a more spiritual lens. Now, again, spirituality not as escape, but as incorporating the awareness that perhaps we're all connected, that the ego does not know best, that through stillness we can receive guidance and divine inspiration. That is very much present in the hangman. Not only are we gaining enlightenment through this pause, it is through enlightenment we're going to see the clearer way. The growth on the branches here suggests that there is growth in the material world through doing this. Whenever you see kind of growth in the tarot, it does suggest some kind of fruitfulness, some kind of manifestation. So we see this in the Magician. We're going to see this a lot through the Pentacles and the Minor Arcana, which is associated with earth and growth. So this is not to say that like the material world doesn't matter or doesn't exist. It's the lens through which we're viewing it. And also through the surrender, through seeing things in a different way, through some non-action, through sacrificing the ego's need to know, fix, do, have, we are actually going to have growth and abundance, just perhaps in ways we didn't realize. Okay, my friends, so it's actually I find it very gentle. It can be challenging because surrender can be challenging. I will say really quickly, surrender doesn't mean doing nothing, but the hangman is, if you're asking about a certain situation, it is encouraging you to pause. So it doesn't mean that in your life you're like, I'll do nothing ever. Regarding to the situation, we do want to surrender it over to the universe. We want to pause. We want to allow ourselves to sit with it, see it from a different perspective. Then with clarity, we will move ahead and act. Okay, my friends, thank you so much for being here, and I will see you tomorrow with the next card.